So thank you and welcome for joining myself and the Trinity. I am Reese. For those of you who don't know me, I run a company just outside of Seattle called One Illuminated. Our primary work is to offer intuitive development and integration with higher frequency for individuals who are on spiritual journeys, who are wanting to learn how to balance body, mind, and spirit in this journey of life that we are in. About a week and a half ago, I had a visit from a new guide. They came to me as I was just waking up and introduced themselves as the Trinity. They told me that they represented Mother God, Father God, Child God, but also could be seen as the frequency that embodies the three pillars of the Sephiroth. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Sephiroth, it is a Kabbalistic image, if you will, that represents different pathways along our journey. And they came to me and asked me to provide information, or provide channeled information actually, to folks who are in need of being resourced at this very challenging time. And also for those who might participate in their request to have collective healing offered up. And so they had me channel a message that I included in my most recent newsletter, and they asked me to offer this 3-part series called ReSource and Shine Your Light. And it has been, for me, a very interesting journey working with this new frequency. I think we as humans tend to personify the guides that we are working with. And we see them as very human and very relatable, very emotional, and very vested in us. And yet when I started working with the Trinity, I knew without a doubt in every cell of my body, their intention, their purity, their truth, but it was really unencumbered by emotion, which is fascinating to me because it's so pure. And yet as a human trying to work with an energy that feels very non-emotional, it was very kind of weird. And I spent about 10 days sleeping, not all day. I probably would have liked to if I didn't have day-to-day life to tend to. But if I sat down for more than 5 minutes, I fell asleep. And they told me that they were reprogramming me to be able to hold their frequency. And they have joined us here. And we are most grateful that you have decided to be here with us. So I want to start off just by saying, and maybe you've already seen this because Carolyn's ahead of me, that we are going to be monitoring the chat box. When I originally posted this, I didn't think that we would have this many participants. And so I thought it would be able to be kind of a smaller chat like I do with my regular classes, but that is just not what happened. I think that we are all wanting to be resourced right now, and we're very grateful for this opportunity, but do have to shift the format just mildly in order to accommodate the number of people that we have and the fact that we are wanting to be able to provide the Trinity's messaging after this session. So if you have questions, type them in the chat box. That will be monitored and sort of collated. And I think that if it's relevant to what is actually happening, Carolyn will unmute and ask the question. Otherwise, I will try to respond to them either in a post or those things that seem like they're going to be fitting in with one of the other 2 sessions may come up through that format. So the aspiration for these 3 sessions is to truly resource you. We're going to be doing some guided journeys to help you connect in with higher frequencies. We are also, for those interested, wanting for you to stay with us, to join together to offer a collective transmission of healing. So in terms of content today, we're going to be doing just a brief overview of whatever it is that the Trinity is wanting to share. They gave me a little bit of information, but honestly, the way I've come to work with channeled beings is I get to know them, and if they feel like their vibration is aligned with what I'm wanting to offer and my highest truth, then I usually will just surrender to what they're wanting and not do a lot of pre-work. I've done some because they told me that I needed to do a little bit of reading in order to ensure that my system could convey the language they're wanting to use. And so before we get into the information that they're wanting to share, they asked me to, because they are very clear about the way I work and with the rest of One Illuminated, they wanted me to take a moment to talk about open source currency. And so most of you who have actually studied with me, who talk about giving things away for free, will hear me say, well, when you do that, you're creating a reciprocal exchange. And so there's a request, and we want you to hear this because many of you are small business owners trying to figure out whether or not you should be giving things away for free during this time. Many of you are healers also thinking about this, and we want to make sure you understand that there is a linkage that is created when something is given. So there is always a giving and a receiving in the universe. So our request in terms of sharing this information is not necessarily that you make an offering to One Illuminated, but that you align yourself with what is true for you and where you see your need is most in the world that you care about, and create an offering that way. That offering can be an energetic offering of love and healing. You can actually direct it in the healing portion of this particular session when we go into a healing meditation for others. But we want you to understand that there is a linkage that's created when you offer something, that you basically form a bond with the receiving party that they must pay. It's basically part of the universal law of compensation. And so you need to be very clear when you enter into any work that is offered for free, what your intention is around that compensation. So my intention is that each of you offer healing, and that you do it in this time of great need in a way that is very specific and deliberate and intentionally aligned with who you are at your core. And so I just want to offer that up. And for all of you small business owners and healers who are trying to figure out whether you need to do this either because you want to or you feel compelled to in order to bring some business flow, to make sure you're thinking about that. What is the energetic exchange so that other people are not bound to you? This is why sometimes we get into relationships with mentors and teachers, and then later when we haven't worked with them for years, feel like they're draining our energy. I've done a lot of work with people who don't understand that as teachers. They don't understand that they are forming a bond. And so we're just taking time to share this because it's really important during this particular time when people are thinking about what they can share. One of the Trinity is saying, if you don't have an offering that you can think of that you want to give out into the world, to please give blood. So that's coming from the energy that we think of as the balance in the pillar, in the pillars of the Sephiroth, or the child God energy. So the child God energy is saying, please give blood. So those are the things that we're wanting to share with you about compensation. And some people have been asking about that. So there you go. That's what we would most love, is for you to go into yourself and figure out where you would like to direct that. I am going to take, for those of you who've never actually witnessed me channeling, sometimes it takes me a minute to let them anchor and sit, the guides anchor and sit inside of my physicality. So I'm just going to take a moment to kind of turn this over to the Trinity. And we will go from there in terms of what they want to offer. We are pleased to be here with you. It is with giddy excitement that we share our thoughts and that we dedicate our energy to helping you through this time. We want to speak to you of the opportunity that sits before you. Many of you are holding on to a frequency of fear and anxiety because of what is unknown. And we wish to remind you that there is nothing that is truly unknown. There is opportunity in the crisis that you are in. And your job is to go inward, to find the gift, and to see where you can best contribute. Many of you are feeling incredibly depleted. And so it is important to allow yourself to be gracious receivers. Allow yourself to receive the aid that is coming to you, whether it comes through a workshop like this, or government assistance, or a friend making an offering to you. Be gracious in the receiving and know that you are worthy of that receipt. Many people have framed themselves such that they feel they must be self-sufficient. They must figure it out on their own. And you see, this is actually one of the reasons why you as a human collective have found yourselves in this state. As a collective, you have come very far away, not all of you, but many of you, from caring for the collective, from seeing that you are the collective, from recognizing that even though you are in an individual human body, you actually are a cell in a larger organism. And that when you are a cell in a larger organism, you must learn to communicate across systems. And so the opportunity that you find yourself in, from our perspective, as we shared in the newsletter, is because you have contributed to a dire toxic overload on this planet and in the collective consciousness, with thoughts that are negative, thoughts that are divisive. Many of you have come into this timeline to be the ones to help foster the shift and change. And you may be more advanced than others in learning how to allow higher consciousness to descend into your physicality. And you may be already in a time of knowing of how you can contribute to the collective energy, receiving this pure source energy and realigning. And for those of you, we say it is important to share. It is important to allow yourselves to give, but to remember that in order to give in a way that is healthy, that is not draining, you must allow yourself to be resourced. So everything from your consumption, whether that's food or information, to getting enough rest because you are in a physical body, to remembering the truth that what happens above happens below, what happens within happens without. So this, we are referring to the law of correspondence. It is one of the universal laws that really, if you sit with it, means that there's harmony, agreement, and correspondence between the physical, mental, and spiritual realms, between you as an individual and the multiverse. There is no true separation, since everything in the multiverse, including you, originates from the one source. You as a human collective have become very separate from the knowing and the trusting, even if you do know in your minds that you are one of this larger one. Many of you have forgotten how to feel that. And we would encourage you to understand that feeling the connection to the greater one, in many ways, this intuitive aspect of yourselves, really helps to create the world that you all aspire to live in. We are not aware of anyone on your planet today, even though your experience might not reflect this. We are not aware of anyone who actually wakes up and wants to be miserable and wants to contribute to hardship. People have a lot of limiting beliefs that create behaviors. And so this is an opportunity for each of you at an individual level to know yourself so that you know the truth of your connection to other. We encourage you to spend time, not insurmountable amounts of time, not going into meditation necessarily for days. If you can afford to do that, certainly we encourage that, but most of you can't. And so we say even take 5 minutes a day to really think about this aspect of truth, this law of correspondence that we would say we like what is ascribed to Apollo, this saying of know thyself and thou shalt know the mysteries of the gods and the universe. This is true. We want you to understand that this is true. See yourself, your body as a vessel of cells, as a reflection of who you are. You are also the cell in the universe on the planet. Find out what part of the body you are and dedicate your vision and your actions to that. This is where you will find your joy. We want also to talk about, in some ways, who we are as the Trinity. We would say that if you think about humanity like a beehive or the multiverse as a beehive, we would say that we are the outer shell of that hive, that we are the container, but the container also pulsates. So we send information inward and we are accessible to you as individuals. Consciousness at its highest level is God or source, the multiverse. It is one pulse, the one, the many. And as it comes into a world of form, we see it as traveling through the frequencies of the Trinity. We see it as an energy that over time on your planet has been ascribed as masculine or force energy. We see it as feminine energy, which is form, what is created, and we see it as the balance in between. And that balance is what creates your physical reality. So as form and force come together, the balance is there. Sometimes things are out of balance, and this is a time that you're in, a time when things on your planet feel frightening and scary because at every level, consciousness that exists needs some healing. So there is what we would call a supernal triangle, if you will, that is part of our triad. And this is the source connection, the one and the many. There is also a triangle that we see as ethical, which is solar. This is drive, the drive and the constraint. It's expressions of the universe. And then there is what we see as an alchemical triad or a magical triad that is more lunar. It's impulse and habit and structure, and that is where you live, there are places within your bodies, your physical bodies, that hold and represent and can inform you of this greater consciousness. And we are actually going to take you through a journey today to help you tap into these places within your body and places within the multiverse that are sacred and aligned with this information. So supernal, the source connection, we would say that if you visualize a triangle that is created by connecting left brain to right brain and moving up into your gateway chakra, which is located 6 to 7 inches above your head, that this is where you can connect with source. This is where you can receive a reminder of the truth of who you are in terms of you being an aspect of source. And this is where highest consciousness begins to descend into your physicality. You drop down to your shoulders and your heart, imagining a downward facing triangle. This represents the ethical triad, which is, again, an expression of the universe, anchoring in to your physicality. Dropping down into that alchemical triad, this is where your hips meet your pelvic floor. And so we're going to focus on those areas when we go into a journey to ReSource, because we feel that this is important to you understanding how to get through this very challenging and difficult period that you find yourselves in, by understanding and rewiring your connection to your higher self, your connection to source energy, to remembering how to be in collective energy while also being true to the beloved within, creating that balance. What we want to say before we move into a journey is that for those of you who are feeling incredibly depleted at this time, our hope for you would be that you give yourself permission to drop off of the call after that initial journey. When we take people through guided journeys, it's important to understand that it's okay to receive in a way that's just for you. It's okay to allow yourself to stay with an energy that is replenishing you, to be brutally honest with yourself about what you need. So we've structured this day or this workshop to have a journey where we're resourcing you. Once that journey is done, if you feel like you just want to allow those transmissions to unpack themselves within you, drop off the call. You can get that information later by listening to the rest of the recording at a different time. Those of you who feel like you can stay, we're going to want you to actually stay in the journey and connection, and we're going to move you into a journey of healing. So we'll join together as a collective group to offer some healing out into our collective. And we do want to encourage you to go ahead and type in to the chat box your questions so that we can answer them. After the journeys, we will do a Q&A. And so if you have popped off your questions, if you type them into the chat box, we may try to answer them. If it doesn't seem relevant or we don't have enough time today, we'll go ahead and do that either in a written post or in the future session. So does anyone need clarification before we go into some resourcing energetically? Okay, I'm not seeing anything come up through the chat box. Oh, wait. I'm like, oh, wait, I might have my settings off. Okay. So apparently there is a shadow in the video. So what that is if I move, there's not a real shadow. So this is Reese dropping in and kicking the Trinity out so I can answer this question. It is because I actually have one of those green screens on. I didn't want to show you my messy office. And these fancy chairs that Matt refinished remind me of the Trinity, and when I sit in them, they speak to me really loudly. So just a little tidbit on that. That's why that's in the background. If it is a terrible issue, you know, let me know, and I won't do it for sessions 2 and 3. I'm actually capable of cleaning my office. So let's see, I do see a question about the location of the second triangle. And that is from shoulder to shoulder and down into the heart. So first triangle is upward, brain hemispheres and up. And that is what the Trinity called supernal, which is the connection to the source energy and connection to information related to source, right? And who we are as aspects of source. And then this they call ethical, which from what I understand, and I think that more will be given or obtained through the journeys, but my understanding of it is it's the solar energy, the masculine energy. And then as we drop down into the hips and root chakra, that part, or the pelvic floor, so they just said to me, no, Reese, we really want you to make sure that they understand it's physically the pelvic floor, not necessarily the scope of the root chakra, but actually the pelvic floor, so that bowl. So from a physical perspective, they appear to feel like that's super important. And maybe we'll get more information from them later on why that is. So somebody wants to know if they should be lying down. You certainly can if you want to. We definitely encourage you to get as comfortable as possible, but lying down is not required. The only triangle that is facing upward is the one at the top. The other two are facing downward, and that's about source energy descending into our bodies and then out into the material world. I'm just scrolling to see if there is anything else before we go into our journey to ReSource. So I want to make a note about the direction. So in the journey, they're going to be talking about moving energy from left to right, so from force to form. But some of us, so it's kind of like left is feminine and form and right is masculine and force. But some of us who have come here as mirrors and gateways may find that our body map is opposite this. So that is kind of generalized information that has been sort of put out in the world about what side of our body is masculine and what side is feminine. And so if you feel inclined to do the opposite, do it. Trust yourself, trust your instincts. Some of us are mirrors and will generate the receiving side and the giving side, basically on different sides of our body. So trust yourself. So I'm just gonna take a moment to ask you to get ready to receive. And we're just going to move right along into this journey. So we invite you to get ready to receive an energetic transmission from the Trinity. Relax and allow your breath to connect to source energy through a stream of connective light. Invite Source to clear your field with white light. Taking a few deep clearing breaths into your pelvic floor. White light purifies your energy field. And next, we want you to invite Source to strengthen your physical and etheric bodies with gold light. Taking deep breaths, visualizing gold light. For those of you who are not good at visuals, you can just know that the gold light is flowing. We want you to also direct some of those breaths into the lower lobes of your lungs. This helps to open up receptivity. So breathing down into your pelvic floor with the gold light. And exhaling, letting it travel up your spine and out your crown. Breathing into the lower lobes of your lungs, letting it follow your breath out. And next we want you to seal in clarity with diamond light. Again, breathing into your root for a few breaths with a diamond light. Then into the lower lobes of your lungs. And just allow these light codes to infuse your body, your mind, and your spirit. Next, we ask that you bring your awareness to Mother Earth and invite her to send up her grounding, centered, loving energy. And now we ask that you set the intention to resource your body, mind, and spirit. And when we talk about resourcing, what we mean is igniting the source within you, connecting to the greater source, the one energy. Really remembering, though, that you have a divine spark within you. You are an aspect of source energy. So this in some ways is a refueling. Allow yourself to be resourced. Allow Source and the Trinity to infuse you with a deep remembrance of your strength and your innate knowing. None of the information that we are sharing is new, nor are you unable to access the information that exists in the multiverse. You may have forgotten or dulled your knowing of how to do it, and resourcing yourself will allow you a pathway that you can take again and again to strengthen that connection. And so we want you to just take some deep breaths with that intention of resourcing, of refueling, of allowing body, mind, and spirit to receive what is needed, to feel energized, to connect with your authentic truth, to receive the sparks of knowing that will help you get through this challenging time. Now we want you to focus your awareness on your hips. Feel the energy there. Maybe even rock them so that you are really bringing your awareness, your attention, your mind into that feeling of your hips. And visualize or simply intend for the first line of a silver triangle to form across your hips, joining left to right, form to force. And just breathe with that silver line. And then visualize that each hip is simultaneously sending down a connective line to the pelvic floor, forming a triangle. Just allow yourself to breathe with this silver triangle. Allow yourself to feel it in your hips and in your pelvic floor, to feel that area of your body. Be fully present in your body. Now place your awareness in front of your heart and envision Luna, our beautiful moon, forming in front of you. Feel her energy pulsate. And then bring her into this alchemical silver triangle that you just built. Allow this triangle of lunar energy to vibrate. Infuse this area of your body with whatever your body is wanting and needing from this frequency. And release to it whatever is ready to be released. Allowing Luna to transmute that energy on your behalf. And just breathe here for a few breaths, allowing for the release. And now fill that void that you've just created with the lunar alchemy of this beautiful triangle. And just breathe with that for a few breaths, allowing your body to feel it, knowing and trusting that both the release and the refueling may happen all at once, or maybe a transition that unfolds over the next few days, as is right for your body. Trust that your body and your higher self know how to receive this transmission. Now we want you to bring your awareness to your shoulders. Allow yourself to feel them. Visualize or simply intend for the first line of a golden triangle to form across your shoulders, joining form to force. And then visualize each shoulder simultaneously forming a connection to your heart, allowing the triangle of gold to be formed, allowing its vibration to grow. And just breathe with that triangle. Now we want you to place your awareness in front of your heart, envisioning Soul, our beautiful sun, to begin forming in front of you. Feel his energy pulsate. And when you are ready, bring this sun energy into your ethical triangle. And allow this triangle of ethical energy to vibrate, to infuse this area of your body with whatever your body is wanting and needing from this frequency. And we want to encourage you to release to soul all the burdens and worries. Release your grief. And breathe here for a few breaths, allowing for the release. And then invite in a solar infusion to fill the voids that have just been created by that release. I can feel that some of you have some energy that wants to be released from your throat chakra as well. And so for those of you who might be feeling that as you're releasing and as you're receiving the solar energy, you feel a tightness in your throat chakra, I want you to just expand that triangle to encompass the throat chakra as well. The Trinity is saying that those who are here with truths related to serving universally, who have missions related to universal giving, need to make sure that you're always, when you're working with this particular triad within your physicality, to expand it to include the throat chakra. Throat chakra is where we hold our authentic truth and our spiritual truth. It's also how we communicate and express. And so for those of you who have missions related to global giving or global transformation, you're going to want to include that. And so just breathe there. And now I want you to focus your awareness on your ears and then move inward and up to each hemisphere of your brain. And visualize or simply intend for the first line of a diamond triangle to form across your hemispheres, joining left to right, form to force. Visualize each side of your brain forming a connection to your gateway chakra, which is about 6 or 7 inches above your crown. Allow the triangle to grow its vibration. Now place your awareness in front of your heart and envision the Trinity as a link to source energy. Bring this pure energy into your supernal triangle, allowing this triangle of source energy to vibrate and to infuse your body with whatever your body is wanting and needing from this frequency. Release to source all that you are wanting to release. And just breathe here for a few breaths, allowing the Trinity to carry away anything that does not serve you related to your relationship with source energy, related to the separation between yourself, a pure and true aspect of source, with source. And allow source and the Trinity as facilitators to fill the voids that you've just created. Allow yourself to receive their pure source energy. And just breathe with that triangle lit up. Now bring your awareness to your feet and invite your physical body to ignite, raising your awareness up to your root, allowing a pillar of your own light to form, connecting the triangles, reaching up to source, and just breathe deeply. And then allow source to descend through this same pillar of light, merging with you, pulsating through you, strengthening you. And just breathe with that pillar and all of your triangles connected, allowing yourself to be filled with this beautiful remembrance. Now we want you to visualize or imagine that you are entering into a sacred space with the Trinity. Whatever way they or the space show up, trust that it will lead you where you most need to go today. Receive all the supportive energy that surrounds you, allowing yourself to be nurtured along this journey. Take it all in, allowing your body to receive all that is being given. And just breathe here for a few breaths. At various points along your journey of connection with the Trinity, you may see, sense, or feel beautiful spaces. They may appear as earthly places, cosmic spaces, pure light. Just receive whatever comes. They may be simply feelings that you are feeling in your body. Messages can be simple or complex. They can be knowings or feelings or pictures. It can be a cleansing. It can be a full-on download. Whatever is needed will show up. Trust your higher self to receive and to guide you. If you fall asleep, it is okay. Do not judge your journey. Allow yourself to have the journey that is needed to replenish your spirit, to be resourced in a way that is full and complete for what you are needing in this moment. And we are going to leave you in this connection in silence for about 11 minutes. Just let yourself receive. See what the Trinity has to say to you. If you have questions of them, use inquiry. But just allow yourself to receive this energetic transmission. We will guide you on the return. For those who are going to drop off the call to enjoy this resource on its own, please anchor properly into your body with deep, grounding breaths. Bring yourself present when ready, pulling up Mother Earth energy for grounding. And when you're ready, just go ahead and drop off the call. For those staying with us, breathe deeply, allowing your pillar of connection to grow. Envision that you are connecting your stream to everyone here on the call. Feel the vibrations of the collective energy. And just breathe with that connection. Focus your awareness on your sternum. Breathing in to your sternum and moving inward to your thymus. This is your high heart chakra, the place where your body holds your unique signature related to universal love. You are all healers here. Bringing your awareness to your thymus amplifies your healing abilities. Visualize the healing powers of your highest frequency charging your thymus and emanating outward, activating the whole of your being. And just breathe with that. And now we ask that you visualize a pink flame in your thymus. Allow that flame to ignite, filling your high heart chakra. Then bring in a blue flame, allowing it to intermingle with that pink flame. And just breathe and let it grow. And then bring in a yellow flame. Allow these flames, representative of the Trinity, to join together and to grow, sending them upward and outward. Now imagine that collectively we are building a Merkaba around our collective. A Merkaba is also called a star tetrahedron, and it is an upward facing pyramid and a downward facing pyramid joined together to create a star. First, we want you to visualize the upward facing pyramid around yourself and then expand it out to envelop the entire group. Make sure that you make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And then visualize a downward facing pyramid around yourself and then expanding it outward to envelop the entire group. If you feel called to, visualize that everyone on the call is joining hands to amplify the healing. Trust in your innate capacity to heal. Set the intention to shine your light to offering healing, peace, and other intentions you have for healing and wellness, first to yourself, the beloved within. And just breathe as you send in the divine light of your own spark to yourself. Then for any family members you're wanting to send healing to, and you're wanting the collective to send healing to. Just allow yourself to visualize their faces, their energy, and anchor it in, shining your light. Think about any friends you're wanting to send healing to. Again, allowing yourself to visualize them or say their name in your mind. And set your intention to offer healing to the essential workers in our collective: grocery, healthcare, infrastructure, decision makers, anyone suffering, the collective as a whole, all sentient beings on the planet, our planet. Infuse your light and direct our connected stream of source energy amplified to all of those open to receiving. We are going to leave you in this connection for about 5 minutes. Just allow yourself to continue to direct your intention. We want you to go ahead and return to the collective Merkaba. Offer an expression of gratitude to the collective energy of kindred spirits and to the Trinity. Call all of your energies back into your body. And look out at the Merkaba and know that it is always there. That this is a collective that you can always tap into to connect with the Trinity, to get clear guidance from Source. We want you to quiet the flames, the threefold flame sitting at your thymus. Call all of the flames in, allowing them to dissipate. And now visualize the dissipation of each triangle. The supernal, dropping down into the ethical at your heart, dropping down to your hips and your pelvic floor, and dissipating that silver triangle. Take deep, clearing breaths. Anchor fully into your body. Allow yourself to pull up Mother Earth energy. The Trinity is wanting to go ahead and open up the remainder of our time for Q&A. You can either type your question into the chat box, or if you don't care and you're willing to give permission, feel free to unmute yourself to ask your question, but just know that if the Q&A feels important to share, I might reach out so that I don't have to edit you. So are there any questions, or is there anyone who wants to share anything that they learned from their journey? How do you feel? So one of the questions that is coming in is this the same Trinity as in the Christian tradition? Father, Son, Holy Ghost. On behalf of the Trinity, as the divine feminine pillar, what I would say to you is that we are the source energy that was accessed by those in that historic period. Yes. Do we feel that we've been well represented, accurately represented? We would say no. We feel the narrative changed considerably from what is true and authentic of our frequency. We do not agree with history's rendering of divine feminine energy as a Holy Ghost. We see ourselves as wavelengths, as part of the container that holds source energy. And as a frequency, any frequency, your frequency as individuals who are human, there is feminine and masculine energy, or form and force energy, in all of creation. So we would say to you that we are a mirror of you. Weeping during a process like this is about release. And so we would encourage you to continue weeping, to continue the release, to allow yourself to let go, to surrender into the higher consciousness, and to allow yourself that release from your physical body, from your spiritual body, from your mental body. And then when you are done weeping, we say, come back and fuel up and let yourself have the infusion. What historic period were they referring to? They are referring to the time of Christ. So I'm sorry, this is Reese, just scrolling through the questions, just saw that one. Is there any advice that Trinity could give to stay in this frequency and or to provide focus in the day-to-day? We come to you as a collective energy, no one or the other stepping forward within this Trinity, to say that the way to stay connected is to remember the points in your body that allow you to access your divine truth. So if you are looking to stay connected to how you make magic or alchemy in the world, focus on that lower triangle that we have called the alchemical or magical triangle. If you are wanting to stay focused about something that you are creating from your heart, focus on the middle triangle. If you are wanting to stay in high consciousness connection, which we would say is not always practical if you are wanting to create in the world, but if you're wanting to have that, focus on that top triangle that faces upward. We would also say to just breathe into your body every day and to ask for our assistance. We are here for you. We are you. So allow yourself to just, your channel would say, chat us up. So chat with us. We are with you. You might feel us at first, you might hear us. It depends on how you are receiving, but allow yourself to set the intention of continuous receiving. And day to day, when you feel the weight of what is happening on your plane so heavily that it is distracting, light up those flames that connect you to us in your high heart area. And you don't have to spend an hour and a half with us like this. You can spend 2 minutes placing your awareness, visualizing those flames, letting them grow, and asking us to be with you through the day. It will take time for your physical bodies to release old systems, old habits. So if you don't notice it right away, just keep practicing. So remember that consistent application of something new creates a new wiring in your body that holds the frequency. So the next question that I am seeing, well, actually this one's a fast one. Somebody heard music. We were not playing meditation music in our physical space. But the Trinity is telling me that they played meditation music where it was needed. So I guess the Trinity played music for you, but me, Reese, and my physical world in my room, no music playing. Getting kicked out of the frequency, you totally read that correctly. You're done, move along, move along. Sometimes our systems tell us how much we can take of a new frequency, especially if we are going to be recalibrated or realigned to be a channel for that frequency. So I think that's a very specific message that some of you are being invited to channel the Trinity directly. I'm asking the Trinity if they want to answer the question about whether or not they know what will happen to the human race. And they say that in the time we have left, we do not have sufficient time to answer that question adequately and in a way that is pure and honest and meets your needs. And they have suggested that at a future date, if it doesn't come up in the next two classes, that they are willing to, if I agree, or one of you who's been invited to channel them, if somebody agrees, they're happy to pass that message along. So they are wanting to answer it. They don't think that they can adequately do that in the next couple of minutes. So I'm actually excited to do that. So I am giving them my consent to be a channel for that message. So I will do that. Let's see. Okay, so the tightness and discomfort. So I am hearing from the Trinity that it's some resistance to visibility, resistance to shifting. They are wanting to write you a private message. I, as the human who is facilitating their messaging, I'm probably not going to be able to do that tonight, but I will email you when my calendar and the Trinity show up in my office and it's aligned to talk about the resistance. But they're definitely saying it's resistance. It's not just the stress. Apparently you have a pretty huge invitation to perhaps rise into a higher frequency related to your soul's roadmap. So yeah, so I am happy to facilitate their answer, but I think that it is more complicated and very specific to you. Yes, the flames are yellow, pink, and blue. Pink represents the feminine energy and love. Blue represents the masculine or force energy, they've been calling it. And the gold is the source energy. I will send you a private message on the 222 meeting. Throat messaging. You are one of a few people. Okay, let's see. And then the colors. So is a block in the heart center going to heal itself? You want to bring in a little bit of your own awareness of your work that is related to the heart center in order to really kickstart and in fact allow the transmission to fully heal that space. There was a question about the colors. So for those of you who are here as spiritual messengers, wisdom teachers, anchoring in new technologies from advanced civilizations or future races, if you will. So this kind of jumps into the future of humanity and what the Trinity and actually other guides have talked to me about with regard to the future human hybrids is kind of what they call them. So a lot of times those who are from somewhere else coming here to help this particular timeline advanced spiritually using technologies, advanced technologies, and moving into a higher level of health and well-being on the planet. A lot of times you will see the blues, the purples, the indigos, the whites. I would say that if you hear about star seeds, these are often the colors associated with star seeds. We're wanting to talk about the ringing now. If I missed anything, around other than the questions that I'm currently seeing at the very bottom. So right now what I see left are ringing in the ears and path for healing the planet, which is very specific, and crows about future change. So those are easy. The ones that are really specific to people individually about their path, I think doing some individual sort of responses is going to be more beneficial so that I can dive into that a little bit more. So actually the question about moonstone and moldavite, they are wanting to answer that because it's not just for you. So the Inquirer, so the Trinity is saying, to the Inquirer, we want you to know that this is an invitation for you to work in a space with us very directly. For the rest of you, they want you to know that working with moonstone and working with moldavite can help you anchor in energetics from off-planet sources that are part of our system, that working with these energies can help you essentially come up with shortcut keys to connection, to information, to insight, and to kind of amplify that sort of chatty connection with specific guides. So they encourage anyone who's wanting to work with the Trinity or wanting to work with Luna or wanting to work with the off-planet energies to pick up some moonstone and moldavite and work with them together. And star seeds, are beings whose souls originate off planets. So some origination is from future human hybrids, other galaxies, ET beings, and essentially quite some time ago in our linear time, Mother Earth put out a call to high councils throughout the multiverse of spiritual teachers, those who have a lot of experience with advanced technology, those who are high healers. A call was put out by Mother Earth to help create a pivot in our current timeline. And many people who are not, I guess I would say, frequently incarnating on the earth plane have volunteered to answer that call. And a lot of people who are attracted to this type of work are attracted very specifically because it's part of their soul signature and their vibration, and very well, many of you are star seeds. So that's what I have to say, and they're not answering anything else. And I do want to get to this ringing. Because those of you who are experiencing the ringing are also being called by the Trinity. And they're saying, and may have some current relationships in your spiritual wheelhouse that might not enjoy your work with the Trinity. So for those of you with the ringing in your spiritual practice, they're saying, if you like us, we want to be friends and we want to work with you. But somebody in your wheelhouse, your spiritual wheelhouse so far, isn't really fond of Trinity work. And so you might want to have that conversation with them, or with yourself, or with your soul signature and your roadmap. I will say that a lot of times we have guides that might be or feel at times incompatible, and that we sometimes have to look at our guidance team and see if we need to retire anyone or invite anyone else that is new in based on what we're wanting to create. So look at your soul signature, know your truth, know the ringing's an invitation, but that you might have some resistance within you. That could be related to somebody currently providing guidance to you in the non-physical. Okay, so the Trinity and I are hearing all of your gratitude, and what the Trinity wants most for you to do. In response to that question, I think we'll close here. What they want most is for you to remember that you are divine, that you are an aspect of source, and as such, you have access to all of the abundance of the universe, to all of the knowledge, the wisdom, the healing, and that your job is to receive it. And when you have allowed yourself to be a gracious recipient of that truth, to share it outward, to help other people come into connection with their own divine truth. So the Trinity, as an energetic being, their greatest desire is that you know your own truth. So with that, I want to thank you all for joining me and for staying with me through this. Hopefully you will find value and return a week from now. We're going to dive a little bit more into this form and force that they talked about, and how we can actually use it in a practical way and use the connection from the Trinity and our knowing of them in ways that help us to make our lives better during this difficult time, and help make an energetic shift that helps us as a human collective move into a more healthy and optimal energy for all. Many blessings to you. Bye.